There are two things that I kept in mind after walking out of Alien Romulus. One, this movie loves zero gravity, and two, facehuggers are terrifying. Hi, I'm Jack, and welcome back, because today I'm going to give you guys my review for the newest movie in the Alien franchise, set in between the events of Alien and Aliens that I had the chance to go see yesterday. Alien Romulus, directed by Fede Álvarez, who directed Evil Dead 2013, and it stars Cailee Spaeny, David Jonsson, and other cast members. Let me know down below in the comments, what are your thoughts on Alien Romulus? If you've seen it, I would love to know that. And with that said, let's get started. The movie follows a group of young colonists in space who want out of their current situation and seize the chance to do so by going aboard an abandoned space station. However, when they discover that a terrifying life form is on board and going on a killing spree, the group bands together to survive. I really like the Alien franchise. Right before seeing Romulus, I was able to do a marathon of the franchise from Alien all the way to Alien Covenant. I absolutely love those first two movies from Ridley Scott and James Cameron. They are my two favorite movies in this franchise.
It was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
Wasn't really a fan of Alien 3. Alien Resurrection isn't really a good movie, but I find some guilty pleasure, dumb fun aspects in that particular movie. And then Prometheus and Alien Covenant are very bold and ambitious prequels from Ridley Scott, telling stories about the horrors of creation and discovering who created mankind and answering a lot of these more philosophical questions set way before the events of the original Alien, to where I don't quite love those movies, but I do like the ambition, and they definitely have ideas and elements that I do really like.
But I accept it.
So to see that Alien Romulus was to take this franchise back to its horror roots, back to basics, to not really do a course correction, but more so just do something that feels like we would capture the magic of the original Alien, was something that I was really excited to see. And considering what I've heard about Fede Álvarez's work in horror, especially with Evil Dead 2013, had me really excited to see what he was going to do with Alien. And so with that all said, I loved the trailers they've shown for this, so I had a lot of excitement for it, and it was definitely one of my most anticipated movies of the year. So now that I've had the chance to watch Alien Romulus, I thought it was good, although a bit underwhelming. It is a really scary movie, and it definitely capitalizes on the horrifying nature of Alien as well as I hoped, but then there are a few shortcomings here that I didn't expect it to pull. Starting things off with the positives, the leading duo with Cailee Spaeny and David Jonsson as Rain and Andy, I love. They are by far my favorite characters in this movie, and by far one of my favorite characters in the Alien franchise since Ellen Ripley's last movie with Alien Resurrection. They have a nice dynamic, which I won't spoil much of, but they had a nice dynamic that I really enjoyed. It is heartfelt. There's a lot of stuff in there that I really enjoyed, seeing how we meet them and their current livelihood situation they're in, to their relationship with the crew members, and so as when they're thrust into a life and death situation against xenomorphs on this space station. They have a really good dynamic that really had me empathize and care for these characters, and I really enjoyed where this movie takes them from beginning to end, and also being a movie that explores the exploitation of workers amongst Weyland Yutani in this corporation, where a lot of the Alien movies have this theme of corporations doing evil things and also hurting their workers in the process if it means that it would be beneficial for them. But we see this theme yet again in Alien Romulus, and it's still done really well. And on top of that, it also adds another layer that I also really appreciated, which is the relationship between humans and androids here, with Andy being one of my favorite characters in this movie, and I absolutely love what they do with him, to what they have his relationship with the other crew members be. It really adds a sense of tension and some dynamic to where, how does this work for Andy? How does the other crew members feel about this, that he is an android? And what does Rain do about it because of their little dynamic they have? I think it's really cool here. And as far as leading characters go, I'm glad that Rain is a capable lead character who isn't there to just be a proto Ellen Ripley. She is a cool character on her own who finds a way out of certain situations. She's strong, she's fierce, she has some epic moments, and once again, portrayed really well by Cailee Spaeny, who's been on a rise recently with movies like Priscilla, Civil War, and now this. I'm excited to see her to keep making a name for herself, especially as she is in the next Knives Out movie from Rian Johnson, Wake Up Dead Man, which I'm really excited for.
What a wonderful day!
Those two lead characters are by far my favorites in Romulus, and they definitely did a good job there. There's aspects of some parts of their characterizations I don't really love, but for the most part, it's worked well for me. The musical score by Benjamin Wallfisch is haunting, and I love it. It's one of his best musical scores he's composed for a movie alongside Blade Runner 2049. And on top of that, too, it captures the feeling of dread and suspense the way I hoped it would. It is exciting, it's memorable, and it's also really scary to listen to as these scenes play out. It is a really well done score, and the visual effects for everything aside from one key aspect, which I'll get into later, are fantastic. It is very much a movie that does a good job, for the most part, of blending visual effects and practical work. The designs for the xenomorphs, the face huggers, and the exterior and interior within the ships, it's fantastic. Like, this is some of the best and most frightening designs for a xenomorph ever put into a movie, and this is also one of the scariest uses of face huggers ever put into an Alien movie since those earlier movies.
Let's go! Let's go.
I was terrified every single second a face hugger popped up on screen.
You what?
It is really cool to see Fede Álvarez direct this movie really marvelously and really bring the horror nature he is really good at on display for Alien Romulus. And it's clear he loves this franchise, and what he does with all that is very cool. And I also thought it is a well-paced movie. It captures the claustrophobic horror feeling of the original very well, which is something that hasn't quite been recaptured since that original movie, where some of the other movies post-Alien and Aliens don't make me feel quite as claustrophobic, aside from exceptions from the Alien prequels. But this movie captures this and does it really well, and it's definitely more of a back-to-basics approach for this franchise, considering how the last couple of movies played out.
Groovy.
And I do like that this movie tries to return to form a little bit, and I do think that it is done for the most part very well. And then it is also a movie that manages to tie in and pay homage to a bunch of different things about Alien, mainly Alien and Aliens, and not all of it works. There's aspects of it that I did find a little bit corny and didn't quite fit, but then there's ways to where it expands the Alien lore, which I do really appreciate, tying a bunch of these things in together to where even if it mainly pulls inspiration from those first two movies, there are elements from other movies that you could find if you look really hard in Alien Romulus, especially if you're a fan of the Alien prequels, which they do find a way to tie that in here, which I do really appreciate. So this is a movie that plays very much as this love letter to Alien, and for the most part, I do think it succeeds. However, while it absolutely delivers with the lead two characters, the scare factor, and so as the fearful nature of Alien, there are a few aspects of this movie that I didn't quite love. The first thing being, there's aspects in the climax where I thought to myself, certain character choices that are made, and I wonder why would they do this. It just feels like, considering what we've seen, it feels a really strange way to have our characters do this to push things forward, which not quite the worst example of this, because I found this to be far more egregious in the Alien prequels than I do here. And then another thing too with Romulus is there are some really bold swings this movie does make in the final 15 to 20 minutes that won't be for everybody. I was very mixed on it at first. The more I think about it, it's at the point where I like most of the swings. I like what it was going for. But the biggest thing in Alien Romulus that really did not work for me at all is, without spoiling it, there's something they do revolving around deepfake of a character, and you will know it when you see it. I hated it. It is by far something in some movies and TV nowadays that I really don't like seeing. And without spoiling it, it was in it more than I thought it was going to be. And it just felt really distracting. And it is the only piece of visual effects work in the entirety of Alien Romulus that just pulls me out of the movie. It breaks the immersion that this movie would otherwise have done a really good job of being immersive. And this just kills it because it doesn't look real. It looks very uncanny valley. And it just has me questioning, why was this even done when it could have just been anything else instead? So that, without spoiling it, was a big disappointment that they put it in here. Overall, I liked Alien Romulus. While I didn't love it like I hoped I would, and there are aspects of the movie that didn't quite work as well in the long run for me, I do love the dynamic between Rain and Andy, and I think Fede Álvarez does a really good job of bringing his style of horror into Alien. It's visually, for the most part, very well designed. It is scary, it's intense, claustrophobic, and it is by far one of the scarier movies in the franchise for me, and definitely more of a back-to-basics approach for Alien since those first two movies. So in the end, I'm going to give Alien Romulus a B+. Overall, the more I thought about the movie, I enjoyed it, from having to be a little bit more back to formula versus some of the risks it took in the back half. I did like this movie overall, and it is an overall solid Alien movie that functions a bit of like a legacy sequel in ways. There are aspects of it that I don't really like, but there are stuff in this movie that I do really like. So at the end, it makes for a movie that, while I don't love it, I do, for the most part, enjoy and like Alien Romulus, and I'm curious to see where the Alien franchise goes from here. So yeah, that's my review for Alien Romulus. What are your thoughts on the movie? Let me know down below in the comment section. I'd love to know your thoughts on it. Stay tuned for some upcoming videos I have planned very soon, and don't forget to follow me on social media. My username is down below at the bottom of the screen and in the description below, so please go down while you're at it. And thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to hit that like button and the subscribe button, and stay tuned for more.